Nick, I gotta play Kirby Air Riders. Quite a bit of it, in fact. I kept cycling through that line, and they were giving everyone that went through it like 2 matches at the least, or at the most, I should say. And yeah, I mean, I want to talk about it. I know you have questions about it, right?
Yeah, we just watched the direct, and I want to know more about this game because I didn't get hands-on with it. You did. So, like, right off the top, Andre, like, what are your first, like, impressions of the game? Your first thoughts of it overall?
It is very much Kirby Air Ride, Nick. I don't know if you knew this. It is very much Kirby Air Ride. I was actually surprised by how at home I felt with it because it feels so similar to the original game, but kind of like amped up a bit. Like it's a little bit quicker, a little bit zanier. There's more going on, obviously, with the 16 players, which I quite like. You got the warp portals now, which I dig a lot too. Like it gets you around even quicker than using the zip lines that go around the arena. And yeah, it felt like Kirby Air Ride, just like a little bit like, you know, cranked to the max, you know. And so when it came to the actual city portion of City Trial, like the part where you're collecting power-ups and stuff, it felt good. I love Kirby Air Ride. I love City Trial more specifically, and they didn't screw that part up at least. So I enjoyed that, and it felt good. I like flying around, collecting power-ups, doing little challenges that popped up. It all felt good, Nick.
So yeah, while we're on the topic of City Trial, like I've seen a bunch of videos, especially that we've been posting on the channel. Like, does it seem like there's a little too much going on at times? Because we're going from City Trial in Kirby Air Ride from the original GameCube with only 4 players to 16 players. So like, it seems like there is so much going on when you're in the city, and it does seem like a smaller map, is it not?
You know, after playing it, I don't know if it's necessarily smaller. I think even if it is in terms of like total like size, I think there's enough layers to it that it may offset that. Like it feels like I felt like there's just a lot going on vertically, at least compared to the previous game, and so I think that may offset that in any case. So no, I don't think it felt small. I mean, it didn't feel like especially huge either at the same time, but I'm not concerned about the size of it necessarily. I mean, I would say honestly, it felt comparable to the original GameCube game. Taking into account the possibly increased speed. Maybe it's just with how zany it is that 16 players dashing around now that I wasn't able to focus too much on the size of the world. But yeah, it didn't stand out to me as being big or small. You know, it was kind of it felt pretty similar.
Yeah, so with that amount of players, like, I assume, like, you're having interactions with people almost, like, every few seconds. Unlike the first game on GameCube, where it's like, okay, I have to, like, actually, like, go out of my way to find someone. Because they could be on the completely opposite side of the map. But like I said, there's only 4 players in that game versus 16.
That's honestly the biggest difference, and I think perhaps the biggest enhancement. Like the fact that you no longer have to go out of your way to find someone. Like in the GameCube game, you had to chase people down. Like they were almost never nearby. So here, like you're almost always up in each other's business, right? And so you always have places or opponents to attack or use your items on, or try to steal the rides, either the rides of them, or whatever it is. So I do like that aspect. The fact that it definitely feels like more of an actual like arena challenge now rather than kind of like a more passive type thing before,
Like you said, it feels more like engaging now, and everything you're doing right now is really building up to like that final thing being the stadiums.
Right.
So like talk to me about the stadiums, because like even when we were doing our live stream, we were a little iffy about it because like the voting segment. Like talk
Nick,
about that.
Why are you asking me about this so early? Do you want everyone to hate me? That's what's going to happen. Everyone's going to hate me because it works exactly as I feared, or rather, it feels exactly as I feared. Where although I just said they didn't screw up the City Trial portion, in a sense they kind of did, in my opinion, because of how the stadiums work. Because what ended up happening, Nick? So first off, I want to be clear. This is I'm not playing the final game. I'm not playing it online with 16 people, which could change how I feel, of course. But at the event, we're playing in groups of 4, and it just so happened that I think in almost every stadium challenge I ended up in, it was just me and a bunch of CPUs, and it felt so pointless. Like I don't care about beating some random computer players that don't care if I win either, So that instantly mitigated the entire point of City Trial. I felt like, why did I just spend 5 minutes collecting all these power-ups when it didn't amount to anything because I didn't care about my opponents? Because for those who don't know, in case you missed a direct, and I'm sure anyone who's watching this didn't, but the way it works now is after you spend 5 minutes collecting all the power-ups, you now have a choice of 4 challenges at the end. and you can choose whatever challenge you want, which means essentially it's distributing the 16 players among those 4 challenges, which can result in some weird things, like you being by yourself in one of them, and either A, CPUs fill in, or B, you win by default. I didn't experience that myself in this demo, but we know that can happen based on Sakurai's Direct.
Yeah.
And it's like, that honestly is like the worst thing they could have done in my opinion, because like, what's the point? I just wasted all my time to win by default. I don't want to win by default, Nick. I want to earn that victory. So anyways, putting that aside, like I try to put my head in the space of, okay, I'm gonna pretend these people are human players, right? But even then, it falls victim to kind of like a similar issue in the GameCube one, which I hope would be mitigated by having 16 players here, or more players, is that like with only 4 players, that means you can have a huge skill gap or ship gap, I guess, with how your stats play out versus the others. So I took place in a race. It was clear one of the CPUs just had way better racing stats than I did, and they just there's nothing I can do at that point. They got ahead of me, and I just can't catch up. Like I don't care how good of a player I am. Okay, maybe I could be better, but I feel like I could not have done anything to offset that, right? But so much of it comes down to your stats, and that's where I think they really kind of screwed up here, Nick. And it's just not. It really kind of like undermines the whole setup for it, and that disappoints me. I don't want to belabor too much, but that really does crush me. But I feel like they have a good thing going with the city portion, but they really screwed up on the stadium side of things, which maybe there's more options in the final game that will help offset that. But based on the demo, based on what I played, it is exactly what I feared it was.
Yeah, and like you said, hopefully there are other options in the final game. Like, it would be, like, a great idea if, like, hey, like, if you picked one that was, like, the flight or the target flight, and maybe, like, 5 other people picked, like a stadium challenge, or just, like, a race, a typical race. Like, it would make more sense if it just moved you to the other group, instead of just, I guess, ignoring it altogether and being like, hey, like, you won, now go play the CPUs again. Because it's a little odd that, like, you don't even get to watch, like, your friends' matches. Like I said, like, if you're playing by yourself, it just kind of, like... It's just a bizarre thing.
That's a weird thing. Okay, I was literally there with a friend, Don.
Yeah.
Don friend. Yeah, he's on this channel. We were playing together, and in every single stadium event, we didn't end up together. I'm like, what is the point of this? We're never playing. We're never competing. And it kind of like retroactively makes all the people you played with in the stadium almost feel like randos, because most of them didn't matter to the final event. It's such a weird setup, Nick, and I just don't understand how they got there. Anyways, I don't want to talk about it too much, because people are gonna hate me.
No, we'll move on to something positive. Or I don't know how this is going to turn out, but I guess with the Direct just happening, we did see that they're adding one additional button to the game, being the special button. I want you to talk about, like, how did the special gauge feel? Like, how long did it feel to, like, fill up over time? Is it in every single mode? Does it carry over between modes? And, like, does it feel, like, balanced overall between different characters? Because I assume you played, like, a handful of different characters, and they have different moves, like special moves, right?
I did. I started off with Starman, then went on to Waddle Dee, Bandana Dee or whatever, and then I used someone else at some point. Oh, Kirby, I think, for the third one. And yeah, so anyways, it's weird. I like how they make a big deal about adding a second button, but then you barely use it, because it takes a while for that meter to charge. Granted, maybe it'll fill up faster once I get even more used to the game. But I'm just joking. I think I like it. I like what it adds. I like the specials. Like, they're really powerful. I think you can see me in one of my videos. I used it to, like, destroy 3 or 4 opponents in the final stadium, like, back to back to back. It was, like, crazy. And so, yeah, I like what it adds. Granted, I have no idea how it's going to how it's going to balance out in the end, like whether it's balanced or not. But for right now, I don't care. I like them. I had fun. It's not a huge game changer, because you really don't get it all that often. I think I maybe got a couple of times, maybe 3 times during each city trial. It's possible I missed opportunities I could have used it, perhaps. So, but yeah, I like it. It's a good addition, and so far at least. And yeah, I'm a fan of it.
So yeah, with the special gauge, does it carry over to the stadium mode? Like I guess from, like, city trial, like, if you didn't use it, can you save it for the stadium?
That's a good question. I actually have a gameplay video up right now. Let me take a look. Hold on. I can't tell. My gauge is totally empty when I finish that, so I'm not quite sure. I don't know. I don't have an answer for you, Nick. I just know that it does work in both modes. You have both portions of city trial, and it's useful on both. Like, you can use it to destroy opponents, steal their stats in the main game or city trial, and then in the stadium challenge, then you can use it to destroy them or slow them down or whatever it is. Like, I got destroyed too, I think, by some specials, and it ended up, like, breaking my ship temporarily in the stadium, but then you respawn back and with your ship, and you're right back at it. So.
No, it's.
And I have to say, just real quick, just to put a positive spin on this a little bit more.
Yeah.
I like this. I do like the individual stadium challenges by and large. Like, I had fun with them. Like, they're pretty good. Like, much like the original game. I didn't have any complaints about them individually either. It's just how they're set up now that throws me off.
And then going back to how we're talking about with like the special gauges, like that was one of my favorite things about Mario Kart Double Dash, right? Is how like each character had like their own unique like special move. Same thing with like a Sonic, what is it? The first Sonic racing game, not Sonic R, but like the Sonic Sega racing game. Each character had their own individual like special move. So it's exciting to see that that's kind of like a twist here in Kirby Air Riders.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. Hey,
yeah.
Now I love the game. Now you mentioned the Double Dash connection, Nick. No, seriously, no, that's really cool. I mean, I do like that. It makes the characters feel... I mean, I appreciate that they didn't just expand the roster for the sake of it. It actually is a meaningful difference, both stats-wise, their special abilities, and of course just how adorable they all are, so...
Yeah, and then I guess going back to City Trial, because I feel like that's what you've been playing the most. Like, how fast, and I guess this goes over to the other modes too, like, how fast does the game feel compared to the original Kirby Air Ride on GameCube? Because even when we were talking about before, like, I did notice it in the gameplay in the Direct, when Sakurai jumps off of just one of the vehicles and he's, like, walking around in City Trial, it looks like you go a lot faster. But, like, even when you're on a vehicle, is it much faster from the original game?
Here's where it gets interesting, Nick. So first off, let me just say, speaking of the special powers, when you get the special power for Starman, you're like flying around,
I saw that.
basically like a superstar. That feels fast. I dig that. That's great. And I would probably say overall, on the whole, it maybe does feel a bit quicker than the original game, but again, it's hard to say for sure. It's more chaotic. There's more going on.
Yeah.
There's more icons everywhere too, so it's fully hard to gauge. I will say though, and I could be wrong, Nick, but by default, with their default Warp Star, I think you are slower. I think they purposely gave it worse stats because I think they want you to be more incentivized to get more stats, but also change vehicles. But in the original game, I never felt that incentivized, but I'm like, my Warp Star is pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it, Whereas here, I actually did feel like I needed to switch vehicles in order to change the stats up. I mean, not that you have to, of course, but I did feel like the default speed for the base vehicles was on the slower side.
Yeah, and speaking of stats, like when I saw you picking the character on the character selection screen, before you actually get into the match, you see the stats on the right side of the screen. Like, did you notice a difference between characters? And it seemed like they had a lot of stats on the screen. I didn't read through all of them, but it seems a little bit more than like Mario Kart.
Nick, let me tell you, this game is so chaotic. I cannot tell you a darn bit of difference between the stats of these characters. I have no idea. Especially because, you're upgrading your stats all the time in City Trial. It's like, it's impossible to track what's going on, in terms of, like, statistic, or, the stats of each character.
Yeah, and again, I know we keep like segueing into other things, but like same thing with the icons to the actual power-ups. When I watch some of the videos, it seems like they stay on screen for a pretty long time, and I don't remember that so much in the original game. Like, it kind of stays in front of you. Is that true or not? Like, did you feel like the icons were kind of like in the way?
Yeah, I saw a lot of people commenting about that in our video, but like the icons are there a lot. And I will say it didn't bother me that much playing it. Like I was more focused on just like, finding more things. But I will say there were a couple of times where like it was a little tricky just to see what was going on. There's so many icons in your face. And those icons get really big when you get close up to them too. And when you collect them. So I do think they could probably work on that. Like they don't need to stay above your, like, I don't know why they need to stay above Kirby for as long as they do after collecting them. Like, I know I got it, just move it somewhere,
Yeah, so and going to the character selection screen, were you able to change the colors of any of the different characters? Because I think at one point I saw like there was maybe a dark Meta Knight on the screen, but I think it was just like a CPU playing as him and not actually like an option to select that character.
I wish I thought to try that. I didn't try it myself. I would bet you at the least it chooses those palettes if there's multiple characters of the same type. But I don't know if you can manually choose it or not, so...
My hope is it doesn't get as convoluted as the Mario Kart World character selection screen, right? Like, because we know there's going to be multiple Kirbys. I don't want there to be like 10 Kirbys on one page of characters.
Yeah, I kind of want that in there. I want 10 Kirbys on one page.
It'll be 10 Kirbys and like multiple Waddle Dees or Bandana Dees and all of them.
Exactly.
I'm trying to think what else I have. Like, was there any other major things that you noticed from the gameplay versus the Direct itself?
I mean, it looks really good. I really do like the art style and the visual style, at least in City Trial, and everything else we've seen from the Direct. But like, it looks good. Like, it genuinely feels like a modern City Trial, and that's for both the better and the worse. Like, they didn't screw it up, stadium events aside, which again kind of does screw up City Trial as a whole. But ignoring that, the core game still feels great. It feels very similar, which I love the original. So like on the one hand, don't want to complain too much. On the other, I did expect it to feel just a little bit different. Like, I was shocked how at home I felt with this instantly. Like, I mean, there are some differences, of course, besides the additions we've already mentioned. Like, the handling does feel a little bit different, you know? But, like, it doesn't take too long to adjust to. Yeah, I mean, for better or for worse, it really does just feel like the same but expanded, you know, and like to the point that in one of our videos I like instantly went to Wispy Woods and just destroyed him and it made him sad, just like in the original game. I love that it's back, but also just shows like I knew in 8th like I feel like I know almost everything there is to know already. I'm sure there's more to it that I don't know, obviously, but I just felt like that at home with it, which, you know, again was nice, you know, in that like I knew how to play, but on the other hand, like it's been like 20 years and I was kind of hoping it'd feel a little bit different. Let me put it this way, Nick. I had fun with it, but I didn't have as much fun as I did playing Knockout Tour for the first time. Like, you know, very similar setup. Like, I was at the Switch 2 event, like a public event, right? You know, and I had a blast because it was both a Mario Kart I was familiar with, but also something entirely new. And this game it's more of what I knew, you know? And for a lot of people, that's going to be great. Most people have not played Kirby Air Ride, Kirby's Air Ride before, or Kirby Air Ride. So they're going to be totally content with it. For me, though, it's like, man, after so long, you know, like I was really hoping there's gonna be a bit more to it. But it's still fun. But I am really concerned about the stadium events or how they set that up. So
yeah, it seems like there's a lot of buts. And the thing is, like, we did a video, we looked over the sizing of the game. It's 25 gigs compared to Mario Kart World. I think Mario Kart World is like 21 or maybe 24. Like, it's a little bit larger than Mario Kart World. So knowing Sakurai, there's got to be something meaty there that he's just hiding and waiting till maybe another month or two before the game comes out to really show us it.
I mean, I agree. I mean, he did tease there's more. I do hope that it pertains to how, like, either City Trial or, like, an adjacent mode, rather than it than it just being, like, a story mode. Don't get me wrong, I want a story mode, too, but City Trial is my focus, and I need to know if there's more involving it. Like, if there isn't, like, you know, I mean, honestly, in my dream scenario would have been, you know, 16, I mean, going off with the template here, 16 players in the main, you know, in City Trial, 16 players in the stadium event, and you have multiple stadium events, you know? So you have 2 or 3 of them, that way, it's not just the stats dictating the winner entirely based on one challenge, but like a couple challenges can mix it up a bit. So yeah, I do have concerns about how that's going to play out online. Or play out at all if you end up in your own lobby or your own room and there's no one to play against, right? So, yeah, but I do want to stress again, it feels good. It felt, the core gameplay feels great. It looks beautiful. It is fun to play. I like the added chaos of 16 players. And I look forward to playing more and seeing how it truly does come together in the end.
Yeah, I'm excited to get my hands on it. I guess I have 2 last questions before we go.
Right.
The one is, how fast is it to actually go in between rounds? Because when we saw it in the Direct, it seemed like you can go right into the next match, like when you were playing online. Was it quick? Like, you got done a stadium event, you press start, and like you're right into the next match?
I mean, it was pretty quick, but we weren't playing online, so that's probably a little different.
Local wireless, right?
Yeah, we're playing local wireless.
Okay.
So it kicked us back, I think, to the character select screen. Maybe there's a quicker option in the full game, but it was still pretty quick, all things considered, yeah.
Yeah, and then my other question, so does this really feel like a Switch 2 game, or is this a game that we could see potentially on the Switch 1? Obviously, it's not coming out for Switch 1, it's only Switch 2 exclusive. And then, like, I guess I looked at some other things, like the portals reminded me of, like, Ratchet and Clank, right? And how that was only on, like, PS5 instead of that being on PS4. What is it, Rift Apart, I believe. And it seemed like once you go through, like, there's no loading. It's instant when you go through that portal.
Which kind of makes sense because it's not like a huge environment anyway, right? But I will say the way the portals look, they look amazing. I think they look better than they do in Sonic Cross Worlds, where like it feels like you just like Sonic Cross Worlds does that. I think like that kind of fake out effect where like the screen goes white right during the transition, and then you appear in the new region or whatever. But here you like just you just straight up appear in the area like actual portal, you know. So that's really cool. I would say, I mean, I think the game looks really good in City Trial at the least. I don't know if it like sold me instantly as being like a Switch 2 game. It has a very vibrant art style. I think it just innately looks good. And it doesn't look bad by any stretch. I want to be clear there. But I'm not convinced that you couldn't have made this on Switch 1 as well.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to the actual races, like I think those look maybe a little bit more graphically impressive. Just because, you know, they have a more, like it's a more linear environment, so maybe they went all out on that. But I think City Trial, I want to be clear, City Trial looks really good. I'm just saying, I don't know if it needed to be on Switch 2, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, and that was my question. Yeah, like I'm surprised they didn't really do, I guess, like a Switch 1 or Switch 2 version of the game. But knowing Sakurai, he's probably like, no, we're gonna put it on Switch 2, and it's only gonna be there.
Yeah, I mean maybe there's 120 frames per second option that we don't know about yet.
Yeah.
Like there could be even more to it. So I'm just trying to think if there's any other details I want to point out. Oh, I do want to. There was one fun part in this gameplay segment. There was one point where I collected 92 power-ups or something somewhere in the 90s. It was crazy. I blew out the others by a huge margin, I believe, in that one. And I forget if I won the challenge or not for that. I think that's when I ended up with CPU, so it didn't even matter. In any case, part of the reason why it worked out, which speaks to like just the chaotic nature of this game, is I just happened to randomly be up in the sky on a sky island I found, and so I was collecting all the power-ups up there because no one had been there yet. And then at the same time, the UFO event happened, where the UFO shows up, which apparently is a little bit lower than I was. So I was able to just glide right down from where I was onto the UFO, where there's tons more power-ups before anyone else had a chance of getting up there. I'm like, yes, this is great. And I love that. Like, also, like, all the little events that happen now, like, even more frequent than before. Like, there's, like, a little, that race challenge that happened. So I zoomed on over there, like, started getting all the free power-ups while you're waiting. Then we had a quick little race. You know, I didn't win the race. And honestly, I enjoyed that more than the Final Stadium challenge. And I'm like, man, you guys are so close to nailing it here. Like, they could easily fix it, Nick. So I really hope that they do. But they're so close. But yeah, I won't stress I had fun. Just like, it didn't blow me away like Mario Kart World. Maybe if this was my first Kirby Air Ride, it might blow me away, but yeah, so.
Yeah, and I guess before we go, because you did bring it up, like, what were those events called in City Trial? Not the final ones, not the stadium events, like the ones that pop up that you can do like a challenge.
I don't know, Nick.
Yeah, I guess we'll just call them like challenge events or something like that. How often do they actually appear during your City Trial? Because City Trial is only 5 minutes, so like, were you able to do like one or two?
I think there were at least two for each 5-minute segment. Like, I saw the UFO a couple of times, so I think they only had a limited selection in the demo. I also saw, I forget his name, the guy who steals your items or has bags of items with him, and they're hidden around. And he's from the original game too, I think. You can go beat him up and get like items from him. So I saw that a couple times. Then we had the race event. And I'm sure there was more. Like, it's so chaotic. I'm pretty sure there was like, there's another one where like pillars fall into the ground and you can break the pillars like that. Yeah, and that causes like more power-ups to appear. And I will be shocked if there aren't at least as many events, if not even more, than the original GameCube one. And I like those. Those are really fun. And yeah, so I think they have like, you know, there's a good core here, you know. Honestly, if they had just fixed the stadium stuff, I would probably be very happy with this. Like, I would still probably be, you know, a little disappointed that there's not even more new stuff here. But I'd be like, okay, it's a modern Kirby Air Ride. I can live with it. But the thing is, the stadium events do kind of like really damage it overall, in my opinion. But, you know, hey, maybe I'm the outlier on that. Maybe others will feel differently. But yeah, it's fun.
No, yeah, I'm excited to try it out. I'm in a huge Kirby mood now. Like, I was trying to play some Air Riders last night by myself. I'm like, I want to play something online with friends. I'm looking forward to Kirby in the Forgotten Land next week, which the Switch 2 edition comes out, so that's going to hold me over until the actual Kirby Air Riders releases later this year. But yeah, I think that's really it for me for right now.
All right, well, that's it for me too then, Nick. So thanks everyone for watching. Hope you enjoyed our impressions. Don't hate me too much for not loving absolutely everything about this game, but it is promising. I do want to play more. I mean, I absolutely will be playing more. I might go back tomorrow even and see if I can get another match in. I really want to explore the city more. I just want to focus on now, Nick. Now that like a stadium event doesn't really matter, I just want to focus on exploring the city and seeing what else there is beyond making Wispy Woods cry, you know, for the third time. Because I think that, you know, I'm sure there's some more fun details in there. I want to see what they are. But yeah, you know, that's pretty much it. So thanks for watching, everyone. Stay tuned for more from Gamescom from us, and including my upcoming ukulele impressions. Spoiler alert, it's really good. So can't wait to talk about that more as well. With everyone, thanks for watching. We'll catch you later. Bye.